Did the S&P 500 finally bottom? Let's dig in and find out. All right, welcome back to Boss Wizard Crypto. Today, we're going to count the S&P 500 index. Let me start with a big overview. Okay, so I'll pop out here to the weekly chart, just so you can have a idea of what's going on here. I'll just go back to here so you can see on the weekly because it gets convoluted over here. But regardless, you have a super cycle 3 ending in 2000, a flat to a wave 4. That was the 2008 financial crisis. And since then, we've been carving out the fifth of the fifth, the fifth of a 100-year cycle here, or thereabouts, right? Going back to 1929. Okay, you can count all this out. But focusing here on the final 5. All right. So you can clearly see I don't have everything labeled, just the big ones at this point. But from the 2009 low, that's your initial 1, 2. And you can see in your wave 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, into a 3 here. Expanding triangle into a higher degree 4. And we've been working on our 5 of 5 of 5 of 5. So this is what I think is going on so far. All of this is not the fifth of the fifth of the fifth. Okay. This is just one, in my opinion. One of 4 more waves to come to finish the 5. Okay. As we can see here, now these are just kind of chilling out in space here, these labels. Okay. And what it's going to end up looking like is this is your 1. Right. And I'm feeling a little under the weather, and you can tell in my voice, but 1, 2, 3, and these are not targets, people. 4, 5. Okay, just throwing out what it would likely look like. Okay, not targets in time, not targets in price. Okay, you need more price action for that. But as a general idea, this is what it would look like. Okay. So we still have a ways to go to carve out this 5th and final, and if we zoom back here, okay, now that 3 is probably too short that I drew, all right, but it doesn't matter. These are not targets, okay, just showing you that there's more to come. That's it. That's all I'm showing you, okay. So let's get rid of that and zoom into recent price action. So we're going to come back down to the daily. All right. And this is what I think the probable count is. This is on par with my last video, which you'll be able to see at the end screen. I'll put it in there as a card so you can go watch that video again if you want. But a combination here down into a W, a flat into an X, okay, and a zigzag into a Y. And my combinations, you see it time and time again in both US markets and crypto, are very lopsided. Now zigzags are not super lopsided, but combinations themselves are lopsided. As a for instance, I'm saying this is a zigzag, right? So we're pretty close, okay, to 1 to 1 here, right? Look at that, 1 to 1, pretty close to 1 to 1. That's a simple correction, a zigzag, okay. Now this is bigger, WXY, almost never 1 to 1, always lopsided, okay. And if we measure this, I'm looking for either a 1.61. One of these is going to be the short side, and one's going to be the long side. Okay, and if I'm just going to highlight the W, the X, and the Y. Okay, you see how that's lopsided? Okay, either the W is going to be longer or the Y is going to be longer. In this case, it's the Y. Okay, and I'm looking for a either so Y to be 1.618 times the length of W or twice as long, 200%. Okay, so let's see what we ended up with here. W X 1.618. That's gorgeous. And in my zigzags, I'm looking for 1 to 1, like I just showed you. This simple zigzag right here was 1 to 1. This combination, 1.618. Perfect. Okay. So I think this is done, guys. I really do. I think it's done. It's bottomed. Um, Now, some people might look at this and say, well, hey, that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. You're going to get a 3-wave pullback and you can get 5 more. This is bearish. We're going to the depths of hell. The U.S. markets are going to 0. Okay, let's hold the phone there, buddy boy. Okay, let's pop over in a linear. This is linear scale. Okay, the only way for this to be 5. I'm going to go ahead and turn the count off too. Okay, there. I turned it off. We're naked. All right. The only way for this to be 5 is to be zigzags in a diagonal. Okay, because first of all, if you're going to have a 1, all right, worst case scenario, best case scenario, that's your 1. Okay, that's your 2, that's your 3, that's your 4, and that's your 5. Okay, now you have an issue here because 1 has gone into, or I'm sorry, 4 has gone into the price territory of 1, so it cannot be an impulse. Therefore, the only option is a diagonal. All right, so let's start counting zigzags. And let's go ahead and label it as if it were a diagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right, what's the rules? 2 can't retrace 100% of 1. It doesn't. That's good. Okay. 3 can't be the shortest. Does not appear that it is, but we're going to measure it anyway. Okay. So when I measure this out, I'm measuring the 100% extension of 1. And we want our 3 to be more than 100%, and it is. If it wasn't, it just means that 5 can't be longer than 3. But in this case, the 3 is longer. Okay. So that meets that rule. 3 extends past the end of 1. That's a rule. It meets that. Okay. And this would have to be an expanding diagonal because 3 is longer than 1, which means 5 has to be longer than 3 and 4 has to be longer than 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and measure 4 to see if it's longer than 2, and it is. Okay, we're measuring the 100% extension of 2, and 4 is more than 100% the length of 2. Okay, so that's all gravy. Now it's okay to meet every single rule, but you got to meet all the rules. And in this case, 5 has to be longer than 3. So let's measure 3 to find 5. 5 has to be longer, and as you can see, we aren't even close. This cannot be a 5-wave move here. Now, if this comes up, does some messing around, and gives us and extends and gives us one more extension down to here, then we can count this as a diagonal. Okay, like so. But let's talk about where our invalidation lies. Okay, this is going to be 5, or this is going to be a zigzag itself. Okay, Cannot be a combination. And we have an issue here because we're counting this as a combination. It has to be a zigzag, but okay. We're just going to go ahead and make the assumption at this point that it's a zigzag. All right. Then this also has to be a zigzag right here. It cannot be just 5. It has to be 5, 3, 5, zigzag. So if you can get 5, 3, 5 out of this, okay, and come down all the way here, then I'll be a believer in your diagonal. But until we reach that price, nope. Okay, so now that we've talked about that, let's show another thing, a couple other things that are showing us that a potential bottom is in here. Okay, so we had our 1-to-1. Here, let me bring my count back up. Boom. All right. And you guys remember, all you bears out there loved me when I said we were coming down to break this low. Okay, when I said that this was a flat and that this wasn't done. Well, I'm not a bear and I'm not a bull. I take whatever the market's going to give me. So I'm sorry if you're a bear and you loved me up here, but guys, I'm a bull now. I think this is done. So not only do we have our 1-to-1 in our zigzag, not only do I have our 1.618 in our WXY double combination, okay, but let's look at some RSI action here. And let's go to the weekly, big time frame. Okay, and you can already see I foreshadowed with some drawings here. So from this pivot to this pivot, we have weekly divergence, okay, which ended on Friday. All right, and from this pivot to this pivot, we had divergence. So we have double, I guess that would be triple positive divergence. Okay, so from this pivot to this pivot, and from here to here, okay, it says triple positive divergence. The first time we've had that, okay, because from this pivot to this pivot, here to here, is not divergent in the slightest, which is why I was a big indicator from my last video that this is just a flat and we're coming down to break that low. Okay, we did not get the divergence there, but now we have it. Okay, now we have it. So that's it, guys. That's all I got to show you for today. I just wanted to give you a quick update on the S&P 500. If you go to the Dow and you can look at it, you find the same thing. If you go to NASDAQ, you can find the exact same thing. They're all showing the same thing. So until next time, guys, have a good one. Peace out.